He handed her a blank check. She handed it back. That's when he knew he was in trouble. If you've ever loved someone who didn't need anything you had to offer, stay with me, because this story is going to hit you somewhere deep. And trust me, the ending, nobody saw it coming. Let's go back, all the way to the beginning. A cold Tuesday morning in Chicago. The kind of morning where the wind cuts right through you and the sky looks like it forgot to wake up. A woman named Riley is flying down Lake Shore Drive on her motorcycle. No helmet law violation. She's got the helmet on, but everything else about her is wild and free. Leather jacket, beat-up boots, a bike she fixed herself with borrowed tools and YouTube tutorials. Riley is 28 years old. She works 2 jobs. Mornings, she delivers packages on her bike. Nights, she fixes motorcycles in a garage she rents by the hour because she can't afford her own space yet. She doesn't have much. But here's the thing about Riley, she never once believed that meant she was less than anybody. That morning, she's weaving through traffic when she sees it. A brand new Tesla, easily $100,000, is stalled in the left lane. The guy inside is in a full suit, on his phone, looking like the car breaking down is the most offensive thing that has ever happened to him in his entire life. Cars are honking, people are cursing, nobody is stopping. Riley stops. She pulls over, walks up to the window and knocks. The man rolls it down. He's handsome in that sharp, almost cold way, like a photo that got edited just a little too much. His name is Ethan Cole, 34 years old, CEO of Cole Dynamics, one of the biggest tech companies in America, worth somewhere north of $4 billion. He looks at Riley like she's a parking meter that just started talking. She says, "You want help or you want to sit here looking pretty?" He blinks. Nobody talks to Ethan Cole like that. His own board members choose their words carefully around him. His assistant triple-checks her sentences before she speaks. But Riley doesn't know who Ethan Cole is. She's never heard of Cole Dynamics. She just sees a guy in a broken car who needs help. So she helps him. She doesn't fix the Tesla, she's a motorcycle mechanic, not a miracle worker. But she calls her friend at a towing company, stays with Ethan until the tow truck arrives, and when he offers her money, she waves him off like it's ridiculous. "I didn't do it for money," she says, pulling her helmet back on. "Then why did you do it?" he asks. She looks at him over her shoulder. "Because you needed help, that's it." And she rides away. Ethan Cole stands on the side of Lake Shore Drive watching her disappear into traffic. And for the first time in a very long time, he feels something he doesn't recognize. He finds out who she is. Of course he does. A man with $4 billion and a team of people can find anything. He learns her name, her address, her jobs, her story. And for 3 days, he fights the urge to do anything about it. On the 4th day, he goes to the garage. He tells himself he's just going to say thank you properly, maybe leave a gift, something reasonable. But when he walks in and finds Riley underneath a motorcycle, humming to herself, completely in her own world, he forgets everything he planned to say. She slides out from under the bike, sees him and just stares. "You tracked me down," she says. "I wanted to say thank you," he says. "You could have sent a card." "I don't send cards." She wipes her hands on a rag and studies him the way she studies engines, like she's trying to figure out what's broken. "What do you actually want?" she asks. He says honestly, "I have no idea." And that honesty, coming from a man who speaks in boardrooms for a living, that breaks something open between them. They talk for 2 hours that day, standing in a garage that smells like oil and metal in the middle of a Tuesday afternoon. Ethan in his suit, Riley in her work clothes, 2 people who have absolutely nothing in common. Except that both of them are lonely in ways they've never admitted to anyone. He comes back the next day, and the day after that. He doesn't offer her money again. He just comes. He brings coffee. He asks questions and actually listens to the answers. He learns what torque means and why she loves motorcycles so much. That it's not the speed, it's the freedom, the feeling of having nothing between you and the world. And Riley starts to let her guard down, slowly, like a door that's been locked for a long time and the hinge is a little rusty. Because Riley has a history that Ethan doesn't know about yet. A father who left. A mother who worked herself half to death and still didn't make it past Riley's 22nd birthday. A boyfriend at 19 who told her she wasn't worth loving unless she was useful to him. She doesn't talk about these things. She keeps them packed down underneath the engine grease and the early mornings, and the quiet dignity of a woman who decided a long time ago she would be okay on her own. But Ethan sees the edges of it. The way she flinches slightly when someone offers her something for free. The way she works twice as hard as she needs to. The way she always says, "I'm fine," before you even finish asking. One evening, after the garage is closed and they're sitting outside on the curb eating food truck tacos, which Ethan declared the best thing he'd eaten in possibly years, he says to her quietly, "You don't trust people." She doesn't deny it. "Do you?" she asks. He thinks about it honestly. "No," he says. "I trust contracts, I trust data, I trust things I can verify." "So we're the same," she says. "Almost," he says, "except you're kinder about it." She laughs, and it's the first time he's seen her laugh, really laugh, and it does something to him that no quarterly earnings report has ever come close to doing. He falls in love with her over tacos on a curb. He knows it and it terrifies him. Because Ethan Cole is used to acquiring things. Buildings, companies, talent. You want something, you figure out what it costs, you pay it. But Riley can't be acquired. He already tried that blank check, that wave of her hand, and she made it very clear that she doesn't work that way. So he does the only thing he can think of. He just keeps showing up. Weeks pass. Something real is growing between them, fragile and new, and neither of them is saying it out loud yet. But it's there. And then the world finds out. A photographer catches them together outside a restaurant, Riley in her jacket, Ethan in his, and by morning the photos are everywhere. The headlines are vicious. Billionaire's mystery biker girlfriend, who is she? Cole's new project, a charity case with a motorcycle. From the garage to the penthouse, is she for real? Riley sees them on her phone at 6 in the morning before her delivery shift starts. She reads every single one, and something in her face goes very still. She doesn't call Ethan, she doesn't text him. She just starts her bike and goes to work. Ethan shows up at the garage that afternoon and she's there, but she's different. Quieter, closed back up like that rusty door slammed shut overnight. He tries to talk to her about it, she keeps working. Finally he says her name, just her name, Riley, and she stops. She sets down her wrench. She turns around. She says, "Tell me the truth. Is this real, or is this some kind of experience you're having? Something interesting to do between billion-dollar deals?" And Ethan says nothing for 3 full seconds. Not because he doesn't know the answer, but because the answer is so much bigger than he knows how to say. He finally says, "I've built 4 companies. I've stood in front of presidents. I've negotiated deals that moved markets. And I have never been this scared of anything in my life, because I've never had anything I actually didn't want to lose." Riley's eyes fill up. She doesn't cry, she's not a crier, but her eyes fill up. And then she says something that nobody, including Ethan, was expecting. She says, "I know who you are, Ethan. I've known for 3 weeks." He goes very still. "I looked you up the day after you came to the garage," she says. "I know about Coal Dynamics. I know about the Forbes list. I know about your father's company that you bought back after he lost it, and I know why you work the way you work." He can't speak. "I kept it to myself," she says, Because I wanted to know if the man who showed up here for coffee and talked to me about engines was real, or if he was a version of himself he only uses when he wants something. And he says, "He's real," she says. "You're real, but I needed to know that I wasn't the only one being honest." That's the moment. That's the exact moment this story becomes something else entirely. Because Riley wasn't the one who needed to be figured out. She wasn't the mystery. She wasn't the project. She was the one testing him. And he passed. What happens next moves fast. They stop pretending they're just friends. They go public not because of the press but on their own terms. A photo, Riley posts herself from the seat of her bike with Ethan behind her, both of them grinning like idiots. No caption. It says everything. The comments are brutal and beautiful in equal measure. The world has opinions. They stop reading them. Ethan asks Riley once, just once, if she'd be willing to step back from the garage. She can have anything she wants. She doesn't have to work 2 jobs anymore. She looks at him and says, "I don't work because I have to. I work because I know who I am when I'm working. You take that away from me and I become someone neither of us would like." He nods, he understands, he respects it. And then she says, "But I will let you help me get my own garage. A real one, with my name on the door, not a gift, a loan, with an actual contract because I know you trust those." He laughs so hard he has to sit down. They draw up the contract together on a Sunday morning at her kitchen table. He in pajamas, she in her hoodie, coffee going cold between them. Every term negotiated fairly. He signs it, she signs it. Then she slides it across the table and says, "I have one more term." He looks at her. She says, "When I pay this back, and I will pay it back, you have to ride on the back of my bike all the way down Lake Shore Drive. No excuses, no getting out of it." He looks at the paper, then at her. He picks up the pen and writes it in himself, initials it. "Deal," he says. Now here's the part of this story nobody talks about. The part that came out months later quietly, without cameras or headlines. Ethan's company had been having a serious internal problem. A trusted executive had been slowly moving money in ways that didn't show up easily on the surface. It was complicated, it was quiet, and it was the kind of thing that, if it had gone on much longer, could have destroyed cold dynamics from the inside. It was Riley who noticed it. Not because she was snooping, not because she went looking, but because Ethan, exhausted one evening, had left some documents on the table while she was there, and Riley, who has always been the person who looks at the broken thing and sees exactly what's wrong with it, picked them up, looked at them and said, "This number is wrong. These 2 columns don't match and they should." Ethan looked at what she was pointing to, then he looked again, then he got on the phone. Within 48 hours, the executive was gone. The board was stunned. Ethan's legal team called it one of the luckiest catches in the company's history. Ethan called it something else. He called it the moment he understood who Riley actually was. Not a biker girl, not a working-class love story, not a headline. A woman with a mind like a precision instrument, who had spent her whole life being underestimated by people who only looked at the surface. At the company's next board meeting, Ethan stood up and said, "I want to propose a new advisory position. Someone with a perspective that none of us in this room have. Someone who sees what we don't see because we've stopped looking." He offered Riley a seat at the table. She didn't take it right away. She thought about it for 9 days, he counted, and then she said yes under one condition. "I keep the garage," she said. "Obviously," he said. She paid back the loan in 14 months. On the morning the final payment cleared, Ethan got a text from her, just an address, Lake Shore Drive, 6 in the morning. He showed up. She was there on her bike. She handed him a helmet. He looked at it, he looked at her. "A deal's a deal," she said. He put the helmet on. He got on the back of the bike. And Riley flew down Lake Shore Drive in the early morning Chicago light. And Ethan Cole, $4 billion and a corner office and a board of directors, held on tight and felt, for the first time in his life, completely free. No grand speech at the end. No wedding bells crashing in. Just two people who were both so used to being alone that they almost missed each other. Two people who taught each other that love isn't something you acquire. It isn't a deal you close or a contract you sign. It's something you show up for. Again and again and again. Even when it scares you. Especially when it scares you. If this story moved you, and I think it did, hit that like button right now. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. And if you're new here, subscribe. Because this is the kind of story we tell on this channel. Stories that feel real, because somewhere out there they are. I'll see you in the next one.